The first time I realized I would never truly belong at Alderstone Manufacturing was during a leadership luncheon when the company's founder, Victor Hensley, proudly declared that fresh faces build the future, while barely acknowledging the people who had spent years carrying the business through impossible deadlines and financial storms. I smiled politely from the back of the room, knowing that I had quietly rebuilt the company's entire operations network over 4 exhausting years. Yet to most executives I was simply Ethan's wife rather than the strategist who had rescued countless failing projects without asking for applause. Every promotion meeting ended the same way, with someone less experienced receiving another opportunity while I stayed behind to untangle supplier disputes, negotiate impossible contracts, calm furious clients, and solve crises before sunrise so the executives could proudly claim another successful quarter. Instead of collecting praise, I collected evidence, carefully organizing project records, vendor agreements, approval emails, meeting notes, and performance reports because experience had taught me that recognition could disappear overnight, but documented facts could survive any attempt to rewrite history. Months earlier, while negotiating a complex international supply agreement, I had persuaded the legal department to include a special clause requiring all strategic communications to pass through a designated operational director until the contract officially expired. And although everyone questioned my insistence, I quietly understood how easily dedicated employees could become invisible. That decision seemed almost unnecessary at the time. Yet I filed away every signed document with unusual care because something deep inside warned me that preparation often mattered far more than optimism. Everything changed after Victor returned from an exclusive executive retreat accompanied by a confident young graduate named Mason Carter, whose polished presentation skills impressed everyone despite the fact that he had never managed a single major client or negotiated a serious business agreement. Within days, Mason received a spacious office, premium equipment, personal mentoring from Victor, and enthusiastic praise from every senior manager, while I continued using outdated software purchased with my own money as though years of measurable success had somehow become less valuable than polished confidence. Around that same time, the company announced an ambitious nationwide expansion program designed to transform its logistics division, and as my coworkers congratulated me in advance because they knew I had personally designed nearly every operational framework behind the initiative, I reluctantly allowed myself to believe that genuine merit might finally overcome favoritism. That fragile hope collapsed during the official presentation when Victor proudly introduced Mason as the director of the expansion project, enthusiastically describing him as the visionary leader who would guide the company's future while never mentioning the countless months I had spent creating every major system supporting the initiative. After the meeting, Mason nervously approached my desk carrying several documents he could not understand and quietly asked if I could explain the supplier agreements. But I simply smiled and reminded him that operational leadership now belonged to him and that he should begin learning the responsibilities attached to the impressive title he had eagerly accepted. His uncertain expression revealed that he had expected unlimited guidance rather than genuine accountability. Yet I calmly returned to my work and began organizing the final chapter of my career at Alderstone. Later that afternoon, I entered Victor's elegant office carrying a neatly sealed envelope containing my resignation letter. And although he initially assumed I wanted to congratulate him on the company's exciting future, his confidence quickly dissolved as he realized I intended to leave permanently. When he insisted that I was reacting emotionally instead of professionally, I replied with complete composure that my decision reflected years of overlooked contributions rather than a single disappointing meeting, then informed him that several contractual obligations would require careful legal coordination before responsibility could officially transfer to anyone else. 8. During my final 2 weeks, I documented every completed assignment, archived thousands of project files, prepared detailed transition notes, and responsibly closed every outstanding obligation while refusing to sabotage the organization despite the unfair treatment I had endured. At the same time, I quietly notified several vendors about my departure through procedures already outlined in their agreements, ensuring every communication followed contractual requirements that the executive team had never bothered to understand because they had always assumed I would remain available to solve every problem. Only days after I left, former coworkers began sharing stories about mounting confusion as purchase orders stalled, supplier approvals disappeared into legal reviews, and major shipments encountered delays because contract authorization depended upon procedures no one else fully understood. Mason struggled desperately to answer technical questions during client meetings, but every attempt exposed how little preparation accompanied his promotion, forcing executives to confront the uncomfortable reality that confidence alone could never replace years of specialized knowledge and trusted professional relationships. While Alderstone struggled to restore stability, I launched my own consulting firm from a modest shared office where former clients quickly discovered they could finally work directly with the person who had quietly solved their biggest challenges for years without receiving public credit. Each successful consultation reminded me that genuine professional respect grows from consistent results instead of impressive titles. And my calendar soon filled with organizations seeking strategic guidance built upon practical experience rather than executive promises. Eventually, Victor contacted me, speaking with an unfamiliar tone of humility as he admitted that the expansion project had encountered unexpected difficulties and cautiously asked whether I might consider returning temporarily to assist the company through its transition. I politely explained that I no longer accepted traditional employment but would happily review a consulting agreement reflecting my market value, including professional rates, contractual protections, and decision-making authority equal to the responsibilities I would assume. Several days later, Alderstone accepted my proposal because their largest commercial partner refused to continue expanding its business unless I personally supervised future operational planning, making it painfully clear that client loyalty had always belonged to trusted relationships rather than corporate branding. One important customer even transferred its entire strategic partnership to my consulting firm after publicly praising my reliability, preparation, and transparent communication, proving that years of quiet dedication had earned far greater respect than anyone inside the executive offices had ever recognized. Inside Alderstone, the board launched an internal review after discovering overlooked contractual provisions, incomplete intellectual property assignments, and operational documentation that had never been formally transferred because executives assumed administrative details would somehow resolve themselves without proper oversight. As legal advisors carefully explained the consequences of those neglected decisions, silence filled the boardroom while directors slowly realized that dismissing experienced professionals in favor of appearances had created far greater financial risks than anyone had imagined. Months later, I attended an international business conference where I finalized a major partnership with an innovative technology company that had once considered working with Alderstone before choosing my firm instead because they valued demonstrated expertise over impressive speeches. Across the crowded ballroom, I briefly noticed Victor watching the signing ceremony with quiet resignation, and although our eyes met for only a moment, I felt no bitterness because true success no longer depended upon proving my worth to people who had never bothered to recognize it. As the conference ended, I reflected on the remarkable journey from overlooked employee to respected entrepreneur and realized that perseverance, preparation, integrity, and self-respect ultimately accomplished what endless loyalty alone never could. Please subscribe to our channel and share this video with your friends and family. We create entertaining and inspiring stories for our viewers, and your support helps us continue making great content for you.